There's an unspoken agreement many women make long before a diagnosis, long before burnout, long before the boundaries. And it sounds like if I hold everything together, maybe they won't fall apart. Or if I keep being the easy one, maybe I will still belong. In this episode, I share the invisible contract that I signed very early in my corporate life and how I finally broke it before it broke me. And let me tell you, it even applies to our healing. So this conversation isn't about guilt. It's not about beating yourself up. This is about clarity. This is about the quiet ways that we betray ourselves and our healing in service of everyone else's comfort. And it's about what happens when we reclaim our no and our yes and your right to heal without an apology. So whether you're navigating cancer or caretaking for someone or just caring too much right now, this is your invitation to rewrite the rules. This is the Cancer Boss Method podcast, the place to be when cancer sucks and you don't want it to. I'm Leslie Nance, survivor, cancer coach, and healing mentor. Come learn the truth about what your role is in your own healing. No BS, just real strategies from a cancer coach who has been there, done that. And I'm talking about healing. So today I want to talk to you about something that is tender, and it's also very true. It's something that I've witnessed over and over and over again, not just in the women that I have been coaching for nearly a decade, but also in myself as well. And it's now what I tend to call the invisible agreement. And chances are, if you're a woman who's been holding a lot for a long time, you have signed this agreement too. Now, before we get into that, I want to say this clearly. This episode today is not about blame. It's not about finger pointing. We're not looking for fault in ourselves today. We are holding up a mirror in loving kindness for ourselves, because this conversation is about seeing clearly so that we can heal honestly. So let's start here. The invisible agreement is an unspoken contract that many women sign early in life, long before a diagnosis, long before burnout happens, long before we had the words to even question it. And it sounds a lot like this. If I hold everything together, they'll never fall apart. If I don't make this harder for anyone, then maybe they will see me as strong. If I stay positive and I pretend that I'm fine, maybe I won't lose my place in this family. If I say yes to everything, I'll stay connected to the people that I love. If I just keep showing up over and over again with a smile, maybe no one will worry about me. Does that sound familiar? I bet you have one of your own, invisible agreements that you have made. And listen, this isn't just people pleasing. That phrase doesn't hold the weight of what we are talking about, because what's happening is that we have formed a survival strategy around it. It's shape-shifting to avoid abandonment. It's energetic contortion that we make just to stay included. It's apologizing for your needs, for your diagnosis, for your limits without even knowing that you're doing it. And it shows up in these little phrases like, I don't want to be difficult, and I don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable, and I don't have time for that. Someone else needs me right now. And it's subtle and it's sneaky and it's exhausting. And many of us have been doing it a really long time. So what is that invisible agreement really costing you? Here's where it gets dangerous. When you're living with that invisible agreement, you're struggling with your inner boundaries. And those inner boundaries are the first thing to go. You override your own needs. You mute your own body signals. You silence your intuition. You delay treatment or accepting things that don't feel aligned just to avoid being seen as selfish or dramatic or hard to deal with. And the worst part is that you do it with a smile on your face while you're screaming inside. Because being misunderstood, being rejected, being called selfish feels scarier actually than being unwell. So why do we do this? And also, why do we do this as women? And why is it not our fault at the same time? So let's pause and get real about something else. Your big, beautiful female brain is wired for connection. It is wired for belonging. It's wired for reading the room and softening everyone's discomfort, even if it costs you your own peace. And look, this isn't a weakness. This is beautiful feminine biology. It's evolution. It's how we've survived. But when that wiring gets tangled in patriarchy and childhood roles and people pleasing and social scripts, it starts to betray our body's deepest needs, the deepest need that we have to feel safe enough to heal. So let's be clear. You cannot protect everyone else's feelings and still expect your nervous system to feel safe enough to heal. Look, you're not crazy and you're not broken and you're not too nice and you're not too much. You've just been operating from an old agreement and it's time to rewrite it. I remember the first time that I said no and really, really meant it. I was about 30 years old. I had become really like this corporate powerhouse, just in the most odd path of getting me to this place. But I was very ambitious and I was working 80 to 90 hours a week and I was killing it in a male dominated industry. I was talented, I was well paid, and I was completely exhausted. And then I met my husband, Robin. And one day he asked me to take 2 weeks off and go to Europe with him. What? Two whole weeks? I told him no. I mean, because of course I did. I had a lucrative contract with one of the biggest retailers in America at that time. I had keys to an executive conference room. I had a fast track to VP of marketing. But 2 days later, something happened. They called me in an office and offered me a full-time salaried position because at that point, I had just been working contract with them. This actually paid less than I was making in my contract, but that title and that prestige, my ego screamed yes. And I asked for time to think. But after I reached for that doorknob and turned it, I stopped in my tracks and I turned around and I said, actually, I want to take a few weeks off. Can I answer you when I get back? That was the first time in my very ambitious career that I had asked for anything. And just like that, I realized how much I had been giving for something that was never going to give back to me. I took that trip, and that trip changed everything. I saw that I was drowning, not because someone was holding me down, but because I was drowning because I had abandoned myself. I had crossed my own boundaries in pursuit of approval and prestige and survival and title. And when I came back, I actually turned the job down and I gave notice on my contract with the company. From not long after that, Robin and I moved to Colorado and started something new, something that was ours. And I have worked really hard ever since, but not for applause and not for titles. I work for me. For the woman inside of me who wants to live fully and heal honestly. So what does a new agreement look like? What do we do? Look, we don't need to become hard. We don't need to swing wildly into a version of ourselves that doesn't fit, because if it doesn't fit, it's not going to stick. We just need to simply reframe. We need to go from power mom to soulful solution seeker. We need to go from the dutiful wife to aligned decision maker. And we need to go from peacekeeper to permission-free peacemaker. We are not shedding our compassion when we do this. We're shedding the cost of carrying everyone else while we continue to abandon ourselves. That's what we're getting rid of. And if you only remember one thing from today's episode, let it be this. I don't owe anyone a version of me that abandons my own healing. Look, that's like a mantra. Let me say it again. I don't owe anyone a version of me that abandons my own healing. That right there, that is your new agreement. So this week, when the old pattern starts to pull at you, when you feel yourself about to smile through it and say yes too fast, and soften too much in the situation, I want you to just pause and put your hand on your heart and whisper the truth. I don't owe anyone a version of me that abandons my own healing. That's the shift. This is where you build from. So if this episode spoke to you, I would love for you to share it with someone who you think that needs it. And if you're ready to explore your own healing on your own terms, then head over to anystagecancer.com. You can pick up a copy of my book there as well, or you can come hang out with us in our free Facebook group called the Cancer Boss Club. I'll leave a link below for that. So look, we don't do old agreements at Any Stage Cancer. We do freedom. We do wholeness. We do healing that starts from within. That is how I lead and coach my clients every single day. All right. Until I see you next time, remember that cancer is not your destiny. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the comments that you leave below. Thank you for the shares as well. I appreciate all of that. Have an amazing day today. If you have enjoyed this episode, it's time to connect. Make sure you follow this podcast and check out all the socials on anystagecancer.com. If you're ready to talk about your own healing using the Cancer Boss method, then click the link below this episode. Hey, and remember, cancer's not your destiny. Okay, I'm outie.